Public Committee on Public Safety and License to order at 6 o'clock.
It's very lucky.
Councilor Ferraro, the chairman, with me on the committee is Councilor Papalato, Councilor Campbell, Councilor Demers, Councilor Toro.
Make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's minutes. Approve. Second.
All
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. First item on the agenda is a petition for new livery license for Ride with Haley LLC, 12 Westgate Drive. It's my understanding the petition is present. Good evening, sir.
Hi, welcome.
Just tell us a little bit about your business and what your plans are.
When you spoke to other business, a little bit bigger than that. But for start, what you have my foot in the ground, know how things goes, know how the driver have to deal with. So first thing I have to have a bigger knowledge about it, I have to know exactly how the business going out every day, the daily out. To get my foot at the airport, so I need to have some paper. When I'm going through the paper, what exactly I need, these exactly the permit I have to be here. I need a license for the city where I'm living. So I already got 2 years, I think. It's 2 years. In 5 more days from that, maybe I will have a big table, something really bigger than that. That's the plan.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Will have a committee?
I'll make a motion that we send out to pass the petition for new livery license. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congrats, you all set.
Yeah, congrats. Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck.
Second item on the agenda is a petition for the renewal of a livery license for Boston Express Livery. I'd like to request to stay in committee. I received a complaint about the number of vehicles currently parked and stored up in their parking lot. They're currently licensed for 3, and that's all they're seeking renewal for. On Saturday, there were 12 up there,
165.
165 to
May I
one.
speak?
Please.
Yes.
Do I need a vote? Do I need a
Make a motion that we suspend the rules to allow non-voting members to speak.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, 165 New Boston Street, I have noticed repeatedly that there are numerous limousines, there's buses, coaches. My main question is, are they permitted to have that, which you just stated they're not? And my second is, I want to make sure that all of those vehicles
I'm registered.
are registered in the city of Woburn, whether they're the car or bus, transit, whatever they got over there, coaches, every one of them. So that is something that needs to be drilled down on.
So I'd like to hold this in front of us. We have a meeting next Monday. It's a special meeting. Do we want to bring them in then or wait till the?
Yes, bring them in.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Third item on the agenda is a petition for the renewal of a taxi cab license for Checker Cab, 827 Main Street, Woburn. All the paperwork's in order, no citizen complaints.
Make a motion the renewal goes out to pass. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
I'm sorry, I missed
I'll
one.
withdraw.
Thank you. Petition for the renewal of a livery, this was buried under number 3, I missed it. Petition for the renewal of a livery license for Checker Cab, same situation.
Same action. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Quick question, you said you wanted him in for the Boston livery to come on the special meeting. You want him?
Yeah, man,
Yep.
to explain what's going on. Finance?
You're on, sure.
All right, I'll call the Committee on Finance to order. I'm Councilor Viola. With me on the committee is Councilor Campbell, Councilor Demers, Councilor Ferrullo, and Councilor Mercer-Berwin.
Make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's minutes and approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second item on the agenda, which was put on by mistake by me, but it is order transferring the sum of $135,000 from the mayor's salary adjustment account to the building feasibility director's salary account.
So,
So,
explain.
Seeing that, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yep.
seeing that the ordinance hasn't been entertained yet, I think we should just table this matter.
I'd concur.
So it just was
Yes,
accidentally
it was
put on.
accidentally put on before, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Next item on the agenda is the order that $211,079.93 to be transferred from unreserved fund balance account to police salaries account.
Hello.
Joined here tonight by the city auditor, the HR director, and the city solicitor. This is pertaining to the Superior Officer's contract settlement As I noted at a prior meeting, 6 of the 7 contracts have been settled. This will settle up that account. Any questions on that, again, from the team here?
Make a motion, make a motion to open it up to the rest of the council?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Council Papalato.
So just a little bit of information on a couple of these things. It's the same questions for all of them. Are these are coming out of the free cash account? Is that what this is? Or what account is that?
This one right here?
Yeah, the
Yep.
same is true for the other ones, right? The unreserved fund balance.
The next items, you mean?
Well, there's 3 of them that are all, 2 of them that are coming from that.
Right, yeah, I'm just talking about item number
Yep.
3 right now.
Yep, got it. So was this part of the 25 budget? What is this for? What's the
These are the contract settlements
contract settlement?
Yep.
Okay,
for the superior offices.
all right, okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion that the order to transfer be sent out to pass.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, number 4, order that the sum of $425,000 be transferred from unreserved fund balance account to rubbish removal account and recycling account for $120,000. Mr.
Thank you. So when we extended the contract with Waste Management, there were a couple of items that were not known as yet. One of them was the prevailing wage rate. So we had a placeholder in the contract. When the rates were released in February, they were higher. So that's the first piece. I think you have that breakdown on your other page. 145,000 for prevailing wage. That's the first item. Second item that comprises the 305 subtotal is $160,000 that we placed in the contract as an offset in the event that the city operated its own yard waste recycling up in North Woburn. We are still working towards that. We were not able to implement that this first year of the contract. We're working with Councilor DeMambro and others to make sure that if and when we roll that out, it's agreeable to the council and the residents in North Woburn. So it's 145 for the prevailing wage, 160,000 was the yard waste option offset, and then the 120,000 is due to an increase in volume and an increase in the market price of the recycling cost, which was another variable in that contract. And again, driven by the auditor. Any further questions on that?
Councilor Campbell.
Can you explain the yard waste, the 160,000? I know we're not implementing it right now.
When we negotiated the contract with Waste Management, we worked to get a credit for $160,000 if we were setting up a place in North Woburn or somewhere in the city where Waste Management could pick up the yard waste on the curb and deliver it to us. If they delivered it to us, it would have saved us that amount of money in transportation costs elsewhere. We had hopes throughout the year of trying to establish that. We've done some work up in North Woburn. We have a site identified. We have some DEP. We have the approval of DEP to do this, but we want to make sure that whatever plan we implement passes muster, primarily with the residents, but on the behalf through the city council of Woburn.
Would this be for them alone, or would residents of Woburn be able to go there to drop off their?
The 160,000 offset was simply for Waste Management to pick up our stuff on the curb and bring it here and save them that cost. There are discussions ongoing, and Lou can weigh in if he'd like, on what else that could look like, whether residents might have the option to bring yard waste up there at other times, but we're still working through those pieces.
Okay, because I know many times it goes by and we have so much, I mean, the amount of bags that we have.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Definitely
just,
part of the discussion, but because it wasn't resolved in this current fiscal year, we
Okay.
don't get the credit.
are they going to, when we do implement this, if we do, are they going to honor that?
Yes.
They, okay, they
Yep,
said they.
part of the contract.
Okay, all right, great.
$160,000 per year.
Right, okay,
We just missed year one because we haven't got it established yet.
okay. And then the rest of it, which is what, 100 and something? So with 145,
145 is the prevailing wage
one,
impact.
yeah, 160. And then what brings us up to 425?
$120,000 recycling, additional costs for recycling tonnage. The volume increase as well as the market
Yep.
is gone. That was another variable in the contract.
Okay, and I know this is not on tonight, but I've been getting some questions about the implementation of the new trash pickup that's going to take place.
Automated trash pickup begins July 1.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
just what
there's actually
happened?
a community meeting
Okay,
Thursday night here
oh,
at 6 o'clock. We've been updating all the FAQs on the website.
okay, good.
We'll share all that. Waste management will be there to answer any questions. And any questions that come from Thursday night, we'll add to the FAQs, so the
Oh,
community is
wonderful.
aware.
Okay, all right, I'm all set.
Councilor
you.
DeMambro.
So, through the chair, we have been working with Mayor Concanon. I've been working with Mayor Concanon, as well as our city engineer, Alex. As a matter of fact, Alex and I, we did a site visit up to Manchester by the Sea. We've checked out their recycling. I did a site visit in Winchester to see how they do the yard waste recycling, as well as Lexington. I've also contacted several other recycling outfits on how they go about recycling. One of them's Crotch Mill Farms up in Tewksbury. We're trying to, I guess, logistically figure out if it can be done, if it can be done in a fashion that is not going to take and burden the residents of North Woburn. It's going to, add benefit and not add problems with the yard waste and how it is stored and turned over to turn into soil, so on and so forth. That's the goal. Unfortunately, there's a lot of different factors that go into that. I guess in the beginning stages, I can speak on behalf of myself, I thought it was gonna be fairly easy. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. And the more I drill down on it, the more vast and the more information I've been getting, and the more complicated it seems to be getting. So at this point, again, through, to the mayor's point, we didn't hit the mark on this one. We still have a ways to go if and when this should be rolled out. And again, this is something that's definitely gonna have to go in front of the residents of North Woburn to see if they have a pallet for it. If not, then we're probably gonna have to find other means, for our yard recycling and waste and how we're gonna handle it and have it carted. So that's where we're at as of right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Councilor Papalato.
Yeah, thank you. Although not on the agenda, I've had a lot of questions about the size of the trash. Is it gonna be smaller or the same
It'll be the
size?
same size as the recycle.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
96.
That'll be helpful to a lot of people. Is that gonna increase cost because it's,
There's a small increase that we're absorbing it'll be about $20,000 that's included in the FY '26 proposed budget, you'll see.
good, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, we figured that the larger bins, there may be people who think the larger bins are too large, but for the most part, the larger bin works for most people.
Right.
So, that's what I'll do.
Good, thank you.
Councilor Demers.
Mr. Mayor, I know, thank you for having the community meeting on Thursday, because I know I've been getting a lot of questions about the changeover. I guess my suggestion would be that we get the word out and let everybody know to get their spring cleaning done early before July 1. So they can take advantage of
that's
the
what
last
I'm
doing.
doing.
Just so that, there's no surprises for people, or is there like, are we gonna be sending out things in the mail and?
Yeah, there's a mailer going out. Yeah, there's the Q&A session, the FAQs. We've been talking about it on Today in Woburn, but every resident in Woburn will get a mailer outlining all of this.
Great.
Probably in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and in fact, when we rolled out the recycling, we told people we were rolling out the trash automation and gave the dates. We realized not everybody remembers that, but we have been messaging that for 6 months now.
Great.
So we will continue to do that, and we ask for your help to continue to remind people about it.
Yeah.
They will also get a trash mailer specifically around the automation.
Great.
It will arrive in June. It's printing in the next couple weeks, but
Yeah.
it will arrive in June.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Campbell.
Yes, I'm actually going through my house right now, and getting out any of the larger items that I can. I have a little foosball table. I'm like, I gotta dismantle this thing before July 1st, get it out. But I do know, and I know this will be answered Thursday night, but for the people who might be watching, or will watch this, we can purchase another bin, is that correct,
Yes.
per year?
There's an option to lease another bin. And there's also the option for periodic occasions when you might need additional space, but you don't need it all the time. You can buy a bag, an overflow bag. There'll be more information to come
Yeah,
out. That could
right.
be available locally in the city. We'll talk about that in more detail on Thursday night as well. But if you were having, a graduation party, and you just had overflow trash 1 or 2 weeks out of the year, you may not want to buy or lease the additional bin. But
Yes.
you can buy these overflow bags, $2 a bag, and
Okay.
use one of those.
Great, thank you.
Counselor DeMambro.
I just have one question. Mayor Buchanan, I know you do little special events throughout the year, recycling cardboard, so on and so forth, hazmat material. Is there anything in this budget that suggests that they might be able to have I don't know what you want to call it, a big piece day where you can put like one big piece or a couple of big pieces out once a month or periodically so that you're not burdened by trying to figure out how to get rid of a foosball table
There is
or
a
a little.
Bulk item component to the contract, but it comes with a fee, and the resident calls Waste Management, makes those arrangements when they have that big item. So it's not built in.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Counselor Mercer-Brown.
I just wanted to reiterate what everybody else said because people will be watching this. So July 1st, if it doesn't fit in the buckets, you can't throw it out.
Correct.
So
You can buy
start,
the bag,
well,
yeah, you can buy the bag, you can
it's gonna mean the same thing,
lease them.
right? It's right now to get rid of anything in your house that's a bigger piece that doesn't fit in the bucket, you can put it out and nobody's gonna try to collect a fee. On July 1st, anything that doesn't fit in those buckets, you're gonna have to pay extra for. So
Yeah.
that's the word that I think we need to get out more importantly than anything right now.
Yes.
I don't know if that's on our flyers or on our website. Okay, perfect.
Flyers on the
So now we
website.
should probably be
People
really,
still won't see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there'll be problems.
Yeah.
There's always a transition period, we'll
Right.
have to, adjust,
right,
but we'll work with them.
And Darlene,
Thank you.
the easiest way to think about it, the same as appliances today. So today, if you wanted to put a refrigerator or TV.
absolutely, you have to pay for it.
You can call it,
Yeah.
it will work similarly, the pricing is a little bit different, but all the prices are published, so if anybody needs it, we can send that to you guys. It's on the website.
I noticed one of my neighbors put out a whole bunch of chairs the other day and I thought, good thinking, because pretty soon those chairs are not gonna fit in that bucket.
It's funny you say that. I'm seeing chairs everywhere lately.
Yeah.
My trash day, that's why.
Maybe that's why.
That's gotta be why.
Where is it?
Either that or they're
3
setting up
weeks
for
in
the
a
parade
row,
early.
chairs
Yeah.
have gone up.
I thought there was a parade coming.
I was just gonna say to your point, if you do it before July 1st, there is no charge to see either, because we have a tonnage that we do.
Right.
The existing contract, so I'd actually advocate for the residents to do that.
Yeah, we're already paying for it. Thank you, Chuck.
What is the will
I'll
of,
make a motion to transfer out of Senate at the test.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, order that the sum of $1,796,000 be transferred from the fire BLS ambulance account to fire regular salary account, fire overtime account, holiday account, and apparatus maintenance account.
Thank you. I'm joined by the fire chief, obviously the auditor is here, still here. These are the ordinary, usual this time of year types of transfers we do. Apparatus maintenance, start at the bottom. Apparatus maintenance is pretty self-explanatory. What we have an older fleet that requires additional maintenance. We put in an amount in the budget, and as has happened many years in the past, we need a little bit more to pay for apparatus maintenance costs. Holiday account is the increase in holiday pay as a result of the contract settlement. Charlie, you want to talk briefly about fire regular salary, fire overtime?
Sure. As you know, Alderman, that in the budget, we have an offset and currently is $950,000. Regular salary takes care of all that. This number here is what we need to finish up the year, to bring salaries in line, but also the overtime because of the work that's done. And it's a annual, transfer that we do. This year is actually, well, under last year. Last year we were over considerable amount, over $2 million.
Significantly.
And I think through the efforts of the department and the mayor, we've been able to get the overtime to come down. We've seen just the new people that came out of the academy and working since beginning of February. We've already seen well over $300,000 in reduction in overtime this year. So we're hoping to see that carry into next year.
Excellent.
I think you covered it. Any questions, chiefs?
Council Papalato.
And this is coming from the receipts from the ambulance? That's what
Yeah.
it's from. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Make a motion to transfer the Senate out to pass.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.
Thank you for coming, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie.
Charlie. I'd like to call to order the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules. I'm Councilor Demers, Chair, Councilor Toro, Councilor Mercer Bruin, Councilor Perullo, Councilor DeMambro are also on the committee. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading and previous?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. All right, first item on the agenda is an order proposed zoning amendment adding a new section for protected use accessory dwelling units.
Good evening, all.
Councilor Salvati, you have the floor.
So hopefully you received the package that I sent down after some review with some other counselors, what I think could be, or should be the final version of this amendment, in section 35. The main changes from what you had in the beginning, I put in the letter, it redefined setback for attached ADUs and detached, and it gave a requirement if it's going to be, we looked at the state requirement, and there's no way of getting around the fact that they are saying that if you have a two-family, each one can have an ADU. But what you can do is restrict the second one to a special permit. So we put that provision in there, and the planning Board of Appeals would take jurisdiction over that particular special permit, because we thought that because they already do one two-family special permits, that they should have it. And we did put in a prohibition for anything over 2 units. So if you have a 3, under this provision, you can't have 3 ADUs. Okay. Hopefully that passes
chair.
muster if it gets challenged.
Councilor Mercer Bruin?
That was my next question. Will it stick? We think it might, yeah.
I think it might.
Okay.
I think,
Worth
I
trying.
think because they said you need a special permit for the 2, and they're not really discussing the 3, that it can be prohibited.
Worth trying.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Attorney Sabati, what was the final discussion again? I know when we met on the setback requirements, it was attached. It was same.
Same as the zoning requirement, or if it's a legally pre-existing non-conforming, same as that setback.
But detached, we
Same
used,
as an accessory structure.
what we're saying, the accessory structure, are we saying that's like a detached garage or a detached, like a shed? You know what I mean? Because
Well, it's
I think this is something to
Same.
clarify.
Setbacks are the same.
Same.
But detached accessory structures, it would require a 4-foot rear setback, 12-foot side setback, 25-foot front setback. There's one thing that just came up during this conversation right now. What if the other issue we're going to have to address is if you already have a legal non-conforming detached structure that may not be 12 feet from the side lot line or 4 feet from the rear lot line. There are circumstances out there that the side setback is 12 feet and you could have legal non-conforming accessory structures that were built prior to the 1985 zoning ordinances. So, again, I think those should be treated the same as if it was a non-conforming.
Which is-
Non-conforming single family.
Which is a special permit. For any alteration of an existing
Non-conforming structure. Correct.
So that's still, you have some oversight.
So they wouldn't be able to take that structure by right and convert it to an ADU, it would have to go through the Board of Appeals process to convert it, because it's non-conforming.
Correct. Is that how we see it?
That's one of the ways we can look at it. But you also have a non-conforming single-family home. And you have a 20-foot rear setback instead of a 30-foot setback. My view on this would be you would be allowed to maintain the 20-foot setback as a by right.
As long as you're not intensifying.
As long as you're not creating any new nonconformities, such as going to 10 feet on the side property line compared to 12.
What about if that structure were, let's say hypothetically, it was 10 feet, right? So it's non-conforming. It's a single story, let's just say, but it's 500 square feet. And the ADU can go up to 900, so they decide to want to then go up. You're intensifying it, they would have to go through the Board of Appeals process for that.
Correct. Now, if you have a single, just as a synopsis here, I don't want to take away from this. You have a non-conforming single-family home, 24 feet on the front, 20 feet on the rear, complies, side setbacks of 12 feet. Building ground coverage is still limited to 25% maximum for the lot. So if it was a 10,000 square foot non-conforming lot, that'd be 2,500 square foot footprint, 25%. Now, if an applicant came in and wanted to do a full basement, that was to the principal unit. Accessory on the first level, up to the 900 square feet if the math worked. But the 900 square feet is the max. If you have a single-family dwelling in the GS, the gross square footage is 1,000 square feet, you're not going to be able to do 900 square feet. You're going to be allowed to do 50% of that, which is 500 square feet. But, so you could do 900 square foot basement up to the principal use, 900 square foot accessory dwelling unit, and then you could do a master bedroom suite on the third floor. I think you would need to go to the Board of Appeals for that particular.
We talked about that as that finished basement was almost a way to circumvent the zoning and get more space for that single family.
Correct.
So again, how would you, I think it's important to get your opinion as to how, you
In that
as the building
particular
official.
case,
what would-
for review, I would say it would require a finding from the Board of Appeals because it's twofold. Accessory dwelling unit, which yes is allowed by right, but you're also intensifying the non-conforming single family. No different than if you took the ADU out of the equation, you would need a finding from the Board of Appeals.
So is that language that has to be added into our?
No, that's gonna be his call when.
Yeah,
building
now,
permit
that would be
comes in.
For each one.
So you can have there doesn't have to be any language, that can just be discretionary based on the building.
Correct, he'll send them to the Board of Appeals.
Okay.
Councilor Domingo?
So to add on to that, Commissioner, what if they were to take, to your point, if they put the foundation and they knock out the wall on the existing non-conforming structure, they build their 900, they go up on the main floor, there's another 900, what's to say they can't frame off that basement, that they just cut that foundation, open it up, and they frame it off, and now you have an up and down
It'd
at
be in
900.
violation of the ordinance if they claimed it was going to be used for an accessory dwelling unit.
Or part of structure,
Yes,
ADU on the main floor.
yes. The plans, Councilor DeMambro, have to be clearly identified. Basement, first floor, second floor, or whatever it may be. Floor plans have to be clearly identified. And then also, one of the triggers is when we issue occupancy, could be one, addition to a single-family home. Two, addition to a single-family home with an accessory dwelling compliant unit. Or three, if we didn't do the basement on the third floor, accessory dwelling unit.
And just to add on to, when we're talking setbacks, we still have to meet the fire code setbacks as well on these non-conforming lots, correct? And that would take and supersede any type of plan when the Board of Appeals takes and goes to issue their yay and nay on that, because they have to stay in compliant with the fire code and what they require in order to get between two structures. Or in between the neighbor structure and the ADU. if it was detached. So, okay, because that was another thing that just popped in my head. Okay.
I will offer, once these regulations are finalized, we are gonna do a quick Q&A sheet, because it is gonna require, revising our plot plan requirements. But I don't want to do that in advance of having this finalized, because then we'd have to rework it. So once the final document is blessed and incorporated into our zoning ordinances, then we're gonna do a Q&A sheet. It's gonna cover a lot more detail, so who's gonna be required to sign off. We're gonna get into building code issues, proper separations between the accessory dwelling unit and the principal residence, utility services, what's gonna be required, electrical services, there's a lot to it other than just the zoning piece of it. And we're gonna put it all, into a nice, hopefully page and a half package to assist the residents.
Respectfully, sir, I'm almost thinking it's a booklet.
No.
I'll make a motion to allow for non-voting members to
Second.
speak.
All those in favor? Counselor Campbell?
So in the past, we've worked really hard on garages to stay garages, so that, water might be put in, but the bathrooms are not. If they meet the setbacks, can they now be turned into another unit? They can.
And Councilor Campbell, just so you know, there is no restriction to allow accessory water and sewer to a by right garage. The council on special permits for garages over 900 square feet
Yep,
has limited and disallowed it.
yeah,
I'm not an attorney, but that may not hold up in court, because I could put power into my detached garage today, same as water and sewer, because it's accessory.
okay.
And it's an accessory structure on the wall. Anyone could do that as we speak.
Okay, if it doesn't meet the setbacks, then at that point, they would not be allowed.
I think there would need a finding to alter the non-conforming structure through the Board of Appeals.
Yeah,
Prove that it's legally non-conforming.
yeah. Okay, and then parking, Mark, there isn't anything about them requiring to have sufficient parking, correct?
One space, they have to add one space
Okay,
offset per ADU.
okay,
If it's greater than a half mile from
If it's greater than
a half
that.
mile from
Transit.
a train station,
okay,
not a bus stop, like Anderson or Michelin.
yeah, okay,
Which,
all right, thank you.
Mark? Go ahead.
and just to add on to that, which our residents, I hope they understand that there is going to be more on-street parking once these ADUs start popping up. It's in the infancy stage now, but
There is no more, that's the part that's really scary.
Council Papalato?
Thank you. So we have flat rate water and sewer rates. How does that get handled in this space? Do they pay
So it's accessory,
everyone, or it's all one? How does that work?
it's all one bill,
It's all what?
one bill, one water bill.
just all.
So it wouldn't be a second meter?
No, because, the intent of this was to make it affordable housing.
Right,
It's in the requirement.
It's in the requirements.
Utilities.
I get you.
You
So
know,
we
I
cannot-
mean, one of the things though that is in play, and I think we've discussed it, and we do have to finalize it, is the INI fee. Every added bedroom now to a single family home. Right now, the rate's $250 per bedroom, for every bedroom. So if you had an ADU that had 2 bedrooms, my view right now was, under the current rules, would be you would have to pay a $500 INI for the added bedrooms.
Agreed. I think that would be found to be, the only definition is reasonable regulation.
Yeah.
That's probably reasonable.
It's,
Because there's gonna be an increase in water.
because this is a type of thing we want the ambiguity for.
Yes, exactly.
So if you have a two-family today, you have separate meters? Separate?
Not necessarily, not all of them do, no.
Right, not,
When the water meter program went in years ago, I believe that was the intent, but there were certain circumstances that maybe not all could have been done.
okay.
Like, I think today, and I don't speak for the superintendent at all, but I believe how he treats the utilities is 1 water meter per dwelling unit for 1 and 2 families.
Certainly new construction.
Yeah, new construction. I don't know how, I know we have a main meter going into like a mixed-use building or a multifamily building.
Yeah.
But that's the.
But generally speaking, you get it one water and sewer bill for the structure.
If
Okay,
you wanted to put an ADU in your garage, you'd be on your own bill.
got it. Okay, all right, thank you.
Attorney Salvati, on the garages, I know Councilor Campbell brought this up, but something that dawned on me is, does this state law supersede any previous condition that we had added to a special permit that restricted the use of the garage as a residential?
To a non-residential use, I'd say it supersedes.
Okay, so, because I know we had two garages that had come before us in the last year.
Yeah.
And we put those provisions in there as a condition, so just so everybody knows that. Commissioner,
I don't even think they'd have to come back and ask you for
Yeah.
relief.
Commissioner Quinn.
How, can I just say, but
Yes, sir.
still, that still may not be allowed if it doesn't meet the proper fire separation.
Right.
requirements.
Okay. Commissioner Quinn, is this gonna overwhelm your office?
When it first came out last August, we had a lot of inquiries. At that time, I would say 10% would be solid inquiries, and it's consistent.
Sure.
Take out of the 10%, 5% of those will be serious. And right now, I would say maybe 2.5 to 3% in the current economy may take advantage of it. But I do see in the future, if things resolve with tariffs and materials stabilize, and maybe if interest rates come down a little bit more, I do see more people taking advantage of it.
Because, I mean, it's just gonna be another thing that your office is gonna do code enforcement, so. The other thing I wanted to mention was, on these ADUs, they're gonna be required to provide water service from their current property tie-in, right? They're not gonna be tying into the street or any of that, so we won't have to worry about infrastructure.
But there may be unique circumstances that you would have to go to the street, but I think the intent is in the same with electrical.
Would all be the current service?
Yeah, I mean, the electrical may get a little dicey with the new energy code, that
Sure.
if it's a detached structure, it may require a separate service. Yeah, my electrical inspector and I have been talking about that. He's actually now with different electrical inspectors, they're airing that out too. So he's gonna give me some information. I think they're meeting next week on it.
Great.
You know, but it will cover electrical, cover plumbing with the plumbing inspector. Fire prevention team's been in with the setbacks. I mean, we've done everything we possibly could do to make it beneficial, you know, to make it work for the city of Woburn.
Sure.
I mean, there've been so many revisions, when the law came out,
Right.
and I'm not going on a soapbox here, but when it came out, it was very vague. I think there's been 15 revisions since then. Even, 3 weeks ago, I got another email from the state asking
Yeah.
for additional comments.
Attorney Salvati, on the housing and livable communities, has there been any indication that this is the final revisions that are gonna be done in the regulations, or do they? is it still
I
moving
feel like
target?
I feel like it might be now.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't heard anything or anything else. It seems like they've decided on this, and this is where they're at.
Yeah, it's just my hope that we're not,
I hope it doesn't.
we're not back here
I hope it-
amending the zoning law again.
I think you might see a revision if there's a lot of appeals and things aren't clear to everyone, and, the land court gets inundated with them. Then you might see a few revisions, but right now, I don't see.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
I would add that I think the assessors office is gonna be
Burdened as well?
burdened as well, because they.
Well, I mean, I think that's gonna be the double-edged sword of this whole thing too, is the people that are seeking to put accessory dwelling units, the valuation of their property is gonna go up.
There isn't a category currently in the assessor database to use for this. They're asking their return for some guidance.
I mean, it's gonna be called a +1 or something. It's not a two-family.
Yeah,
So it can't be valued as a two-family.
right.
But it's more than a single, so.
Councilor Bernard?
I just have another question for Commissioner Quinn. Would it behoove us, if somebody comes out to do an ADU, should your department go out and do a pre-inspection to see what they have existing on site, meaning power, water, conditions, do they have enough to supply this ADU unit that they would like to build? Is that something that we should probably think about so that they're not sticker shocked when you say you don't have enough power, now you have to run a whole new panel, and as well as, what you're gonna have to do for the accessory dwelling?
That's gonna be in the Q&A. What's going to be required? Right now, somebody may just have 100 amp service on a single family home.
Yes, sir.
you will not power, whether it be attached or detached, will not power the second unit.
Correct.
So they could go to a 200 amp service, but I think with the energy codes and the EV charging things now, you're going to see a lot of people, when materials come available, go to a 400 amp service. But that's also gonna lead to issues with the infrastructure, with the utility companies too. So I think you're gonna see, if these things take off statewide, I think you're gonna also see issues, or more issues with the power companies for the supply of electricity.
And that's why I am almost encouraging a pre-inspection before you issue anything, so that they understand how deep the water they're wading in could get.
It could, but it's also a staffing issue, and it's unfortunately, we can't provide perpetual care. We do our best, but I do now, if somebody applies for a building permit, I have the right to go onto that property as part of my review process. You know, and if questions come up, they do it, but with these, I think you're going to see more, it isn't gonna be the mom and pops that are doing them, it's gonna be more skilled developers that are gonna really have the handle on this. Again, the supply and delivery issues, getting the proper tradespeople in there, and time efficiency. A homeowner might take them 9 months to do, whereas a skilled GC could do it in 4.5 to 5 months. From, you know, putting the first shovel in the ground till turning the lights on to go to bed. Turning the lights off to go to bed.
Thank you, sir.
Could I add one more thing?
Yes.
I just want you all to be aware, and I think this is important. On the detached accessory structures now, it's a 4-foot rear setback. So that would be the setback on the detached structures.
That's it?
4 feet.
That's it.
That's it. So, you know, that I think we need to be clear on, because I don't want Councilor Toro or Councilor Bloom or Councilor DeMero calling and saying, why? Hey, I get complaints from constituents that they're 5 feet from the rear property line. My response is gonna be, great, they held it an extra foot.
Notice how we call that house.
But just, you have to be aware of that, and also the height. You know, if it's attached, I mean, you know, you could do 450 and 450 on a 2-level. Dead space above, is, if you read the regs, that doesn't count in the gross square footage area. So you could have a 900 square foot accessory dwelling unit that could be as high as the existing structure on the average height for the attached principal use. The detached, again, it could go to 35.
I was gonna say 35.
Yeah.
Good God, just gonna
So you
destroy our
essentially
city.
could have something 4 feet from your rear lot line that could have an average height of 35 feet. It's small,
That would be pretty odd.
you know, it would be very odd, but
Doesn't matter,
It
when
doesn't
it comes to
matter.
money,
Doesn't matter.
people are gonna do it.
Yeah, I think just to speak on Councilor DeMambro's point, the pre-inspection sounds good, but I think the staffing issue would be a problem. It really falls on the onus of the homeowner to have the design team.
Oh, I agree.
Determine if they have the proper power, and the contractor too, to double check that stuff. So that shouldn't fall on the city. We have limited resources. The homeowner wants to put the structure on there, they have to take the burden of all the financial,
Understood.
you know, so.
I just wanna make sure they understand that.
Councilor Campbell?
They will.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure, I think, Mark, you might have said this. Assessing each of somebody's property, you had said that you're not quite sure how you're going to assess one of, say, a single family with an ADU. So if that's 1+, obviously it's not 2 families. Do we have a right to assess the homeowner at 2, if we wanted to help slow down the process of having them come for an
I
ADU?
would probably consider that an unreasonable regulation. My answer to that would be no.
How can we find that out? Because that would
Well, that's-
actually,
That's the guidance we don't have yet from the
is
state.
he asking that now?
Oh, God, yeah, he's
Okay,
pulling his hair out.
because for me, if that could slow some of this building down, and that would be really great, because obviously the amount that our houses have gone up just even this past year, right, for the taxes. And if that might stop somebody from just doing it because, where they don't really need that extra income. Yeah, okay, all right, that's
But to
good to know.
Tom's point, if it's a contractor, they don't care, because they're gonna sell it. So
Right.
Yes,
they want the higher bid.
No, I know, but I still think this could help the city maybe, if we could do
Well,
that
we're gonna try to
legally.
hopefully find out.
Yeah,
what-
okay.
What they're gonna be.
All
I
right,
mean, I don't think you could do much until one comes in front of us.
yeah, okay,
Any other
thank
questions
you.
or comments?
I just got one last one. Probably, again, directed towards Commissioner Quinn.
What, you missed me last week?
I did. How do we take, is there a way to police if people are gonna try to do these things, you know, off the grid without going to your office? Is there a way to police this, or do you, in your opinion, your professional opinion, and what you've seen throughout the city throughout the years, do you think this is gonna
Ding, ding,
become
ding, Tom, ding, ding,
a
ding, Tom.
problem where people are gonna try to do things on their own in the cover of darkness?
Well, Home Depot closes at 11 now. Yeah, you're gonna get some family people. But where it catches up, Councilor DeMambro, is if, one, there's an insurance issue, a fire or something, the insurance
Sure.
adjusters pull a file. The official file tells the story
Yes,
for the property. People could say they have a 3-family, and our records show it's a 2-family. Well, the applications say 2, we have no record of a 3, so in my view, you have a 2. It's documentation. We can't do it all, people do things 24/7, 365, as we know. We just have to hope for the best. It's no different than if I got a call from you or somebody living on Montfield Ave about a neighbor, we would go investigate it, we would look at it, we would monitor it. So, we do rely on others because we can't,
I just want the public aware that the right way to go about it is to go through your office. Period.
Right. A couple of things too is, one is, if they would never get a second electrical meter from the Eversource company. There's things there, there's tools in the toolbox that when they try to do these things, the utility companies also catch up. Gas meters, electric meters, Larry Scalise at the water department called me and say, hey, so-and-so's looking for a second water line, let me know we have this a single family home. So within city departments, we constantly communicate on different issues too. So, there is a lot of oversight from everybody in the city team. We can't do it all, but we rely on people.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
What is the will of the committee?
I just.
Oh, Councilor Bruno.
I couldn't help but not tell this story. 2 seconds. We actually had, you remember this, somebody off of Pine Street took a trailer with wheels on it and built a little house on it with a little bathroom and ran an orange cord, extension cord to their house. So maybe with the rules, it might make some work. But the point of that story is, crazy is as
People-
crazy gets, right?
crazy
People are
is
gonna
crazy. Sorry.
people are gonna do whatever.
Crazy stuff everywhere. What is the will of the committee?
Yeah.
Make a motion, send it over to pass.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Next item on the agenda is
Thank you.
Thank you.
proposed zoning amendment by Councilor Mertha Bruin and myself that special permit petitions be sent to the building commissioner for review and comment.
Smart.
Commissioner Quinn, would you like to comment?
Step right up.
You don't have to. Get with me.
We just we don't want to drown you with memos anymore.
No, I think, again, speaking, Tom Quinn, Building Commissioner, again, speaking with Councilor Rowland and Councilor DeMambro, seeing the two of them, like me to sit here with them. Most of the special permits are pretty much within Ward 5 and Ward 6. They've called me numerous times to ask questions, and when they ask the questions, we don't have the answers. It was, well, I have to find a set of plans to get back to you, so give me a couple of days. Sometimes it could be 10 o'clock on a Tuesday with a city council meeting at 7 o'clock that night. We do our best, but this, talking to Councilor Bruin, will, I think, help in the process and help everybody, so there's a little more familiarity with these special permitted projects. I mean, if it was a by right project, it's a little bit easier. But the special permitted ones, some of them are complicated, some of them are a little easier. I mean, one I picked up, and just looking at it, I says, we have a huge problem here. Talked to the councilor of Ward 5, and it got addressed in a relatively quick fashion. A few months, delay, but we're just trying to improve the system as we go on. Will there be comments on everything? No, but Another example is the most recent 440 Main Street. Last special permit, we had issues there. This one came up, I caught it and I said, whoa, same attorney. We have had issues there. We need to get this resolved. So I just think it's better. I think it's better service for everybody, so we're not delaying things longer than we have to. That would be my take on it. I mean, again, we do the job, but it just, Councilor Bruin calls, oh, what do you think about this? Hold on, I get back to you in 5 minutes. Oh, hold on, I gotta go find some plans and I get back to you, hopefully by the end of the day.
Councilor Burn, do you have anything?
No, just for as long as we've been doing this together, Commissioner Quinn, and even before, it just made sense that you got a copy of the plans, and for us to do it efficiently, for you to get a copy of the plans is something we probably should have done a long time ago. So I'm glad that you're on board with it. I'm glad that it's gonna be better for Lindsay's office. It's gonna be better for everyone.
Yeah, and in fairness, I think we'll make everybody's jobs easier, including my own.
Yep.
And that's really what it's about. I want to make it a little bit easier because we. What are you picking on me?
You're just in such a good mood. You usually are, but you're even
came
in a
back from
better
vacation.
mood.
My dad was a recharge.
I think so, I think
Any
so.
other questions or comments for Commissioner?
Anything else?
What's the will of the committee?
So the motion off to pass.
Second,
Second. All those in favor?
thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
Is
Commissioner.
there a second to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, special permits?
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Got a good kid. A little jealous.
For an Irish kid. For an Irishman.
I will say that was very nice. I only answered the phone once last week. Boy, that's a lot.
You forgot your phone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to call the Committee on Special Permits to order. On the committee is myself, Councilor Marissa Bruin, Councilor Campbell, Councilor DeMambro, Councilor Demers, Councilor Viola.
Make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the previous meeting minutes and approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have one item on the agenda tonight, and that is for Tesla Inc. for a special permit under 5.156 to install 3 Tesla supercharger cabinets, 12 Tesla charge posts, 1 utility transformer, 1 1600A, 277 480 volt switchgear, 1 utility pole, 2 light poles, 2 waste bins, and all associated underground conduit routing and site work at 425 Washington Street, which, if anybody is wondering, is the Coles Plaza. Do we have anybody here tonight to speak on this matter? Please have a seat, sir. And if you could, for Diane, if you could just give your name and address for the record?
Matt Tilden with Dewberry Engineers on behalf of Tesla, 19 Parkway Road, Stoughton, Massachusetts.
Just as a matter of housekeeping, the plans that were submitted during the last city council meeting, it's my understanding that they were not a stamped engineer. They don't have an engineer stamp on them.
That is correct.
So we would need that.
Correct. It was my understanding when you were working with Ed Noseworthy from Tesla and Councilor Quinn, it was just still kind of a work in progress as people kind of made comments, looked at it. And we certainly will sign it, have them sign the seal.
Perfect, okay. I'm gonna open it up. I know you gave a little presentation. Do you have some additional information to share tonight with us?
No, I mean, it's, like I said, I'm filling in for Ed Noseworthy from Tesla. He was, I think he presented, he met Councilor Bruin and Mr. Quinn out on site. We had moved the proposed installation from where it was currently to where we think it is a better fit for everybody. It's kind of, we call it a fishbone design. So it kind of goes down the center of the parking stalls, and there are chargers on both sides. So like I said, it's, Tesla's looking to install some more charging, as everyone knows, EV is getting more popular, I guess. So they're looking to, increase their charging capabilities, and this is one spot in Woburn in general. As you know, they have one at the Tesla, at Target, and they we're looking for a couple others. I think they've moved on from the one on Mishawam, but, they are looking to install some additional chargers. Happy to answer any questions. Like you had said, there's gonna be a transformer, utility transformer on a parking island that's fed from a pole, on Washington Street. That feeds some 1600 amp switchgear, which in turn, goes to their supercharger cabinets, which are basically kind of, rectifiers. They're about the size of a large, refrigerator. Kind of rectifies the AC to DC, then that goes out to each of the posts.
Does anybody have any questions? Council Demers, then Council DeMambro?
No, just a comment, Madam Chair. I just appreciate the work that was done because I know that, you went out there, did the site visit and made it more aesthetic and functional on the lot. So if you're okay with it, then I think we move on it this evening.
I agree.
Thank you.
I appreciate all the work Tesla and your engineering department has done on this. Just for the people at home, where is the current location where these will be located, if you could explain that, just so people have a little bit better understanding?
So I guess if you pull into that Kohl's parking lot, you take a right towards the Kohl's. It's the second, kind of, hard to explain, but if you pull in here, the Kohl's is over here. It's this second parking aisle that, and there's a parking island here, some superchargers, and then the chargers are along down the center aisle.
It's out of the sight line for the most part of the resident.
Yeah.
And the thinking with that is, people are gonna use these things 24/7, so they don't shut off just because Kohl's and Ulta shuts down. That was one of my biggest concerns. And then Commissioner Quinn had some issues with the buffer and whatnot, but yeah, they've been moved a little bit further away. So,
Excellent, thank you.
Council.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think, thank you for your work. The spot absolutely is better. We don't want it to interfere with the residents who are living right on the other side. Yeah, I agree with this one. I didn't agree with the Mishawam one. So this, I'm happy at least that we're able to put something in for that, for Tesla. So I would be fine with this.
I know we're waiting for the engineer. When will those plans be ready, the stamped engineering plans?
Well, if there's no comments or anyone doesn't want any changes, I can work with my PEs tomorrow to get them signed and sealed.
Okay. I don't have any changes to them, but I will make this one last suggestion. I'm not gonna be here on the 20th, so I will ask that somebody make a motion that I go back for the first meeting in June.
Sure.
And I would suggest that you have Commissioner Quinn take one last look at those plans before you have them stamped, and then I'll circle back with Commissioner Quinn before I leave, before I'm gone for a couple days. I think they're good to go, but it couldn't hurt. I'd hate to have you go through all the trouble and then us say, sorry.
So should I send these to Commissioner Quinn tomorrow before we get them signed and sealed?
Just say Councilor Mercer Bruin wanted you to take one last look.
Okay, gotcha. No problem.
And I will prepare a list of conditions.
Okay.
So, and I'll make sure the council gets those before June as well, and so will you, and so will Ed. They'll be proposed from myself and Commissioner Quinn.
Okay. Is there a meeting next Tuesday that?
There is, sir, but as I just said, I will not be there.
Oh, okay.
So, in the interest of the things that you need to do and the conditions that need to be prepared, if we could wait till the June meeting, I think that would be prudent.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that a hardship to you?
No.
Okay,
no,
I want to make sure it's not.
It's not. I just
Okay.
want to make sure,
It's
do we need to still go to the meeting and request to move, sometimes the formality, I guess.
From my perspective, I don't think you need to be at the meeting on the 20th.
The next one, we'll just open the public hearing and then continue it to the
Yeah.
first meeting in June.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be there.
Yeah. But thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'd make the recommendation in the form of a motion that we just send this back for action. That way, once you come back,
For the June meeting.
You'll have the conditions
Yeah.
ready to present on June 3rd?
So back for action for June 3rd. Do I have a
So
second?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
I
And thank you for
appreciate
all the
your help.
collaboration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.